you personally. And then, you know, when I saw what, you know, Joe Budden said about it, I agreed with Joe. You know, I felt like, you know, it came off, you know, very elitist, you know, very Jack and Jill, you know, very, you know, I got my nose up at these Negroes over here. And I don't think that, you know, you don't make any strides in connecting community by doing that conversation in the way that it was done. You know, I feel like, you know, whenever there's instead of calling people out, sometimes you should call people in. And you know, the whole conversation around who's an intellectual and who's not an intellectual, my biggest issue with it was, well, damn, you know, a person who's an intellectual should look at the whole context of a situation before they have a conversation about it. I feel like, you know, Andrew said one of the strongest points last week when Andrew was like, I don't watch this show enough to have an opinion about it. You know, and then he said, but I trust Mark, you know, being Mark to be in spaces where, you know, he knows he needs to be in. And as I'm listening to the convo, I told Angela that even when she told me that y'all wanted to talk about it, it came up as a topic of discussion. I said, well, make sure you watch the whole thing in context before you just watch a clip of it and then, you know, speak on it for the next 20 or 30 minutes. Because to me, that's what an intellectual should do, right? Like, that's what an intelligent person should do. An intelligent person should get the whole context of something before they comment on it, instead of watching like 2 or 3 minutes of something and then actually taking the clip out of context. Because if you watch the clip in context, Mark was actually wrong. You know, if there's a right or wrong in the situation, Mark was actually the one who was wrong in that situation.
Hey, Macaroni Tony, what did me and JB tell you? What did me and Unbiased Raw tell you, bro? We told you, fam. We told you. Marc Lamont Hill was wrong, fam. We listen, but everybody, listen, I already know Macaroni Tony, you know, he gonna stand 10 toes on his and what he believe in. So, but just saying, in that instance between them two, Marc Lamont Hill, he was out of pocket.
Situation so much so that he even came back and apologized, you know, the next week. And the conversation just kind of made me feel a way like, damn, like that's how we look at each other as Black people.
Can I ask, Tiff, I want you to go here because this is Tiff's conversation, but I do want to, this was Tiff's idea. Tiff is ready to claim that, and we're fine. We all weighed in. We all said what we said.
I don't know, bro.
I have a quick question.
Bro, didn't T fell off the face of the earth, right? Didn't he just fall off the face because he was doing the basement? Next thing you know, you see him in doing a couple of hosting a couple of events. Then after that, I stopped seeing Buddy. I stopped seeing them all together. I wonder what the hell happened. And you're right. And then Charlamagne came out of nowhere. It's like, who the hell is this dude? Yeah, so that shit kind of crazy.
Question for you, and this is a focus group for this podcast. How many of you all were in Jack and Jill? Raise your hands. How many of you all have any sorority or fraternity affiliation? Raise your hands.
No, here we go, pissing contest.
How many of you all are in the Links? I quit. I was in the Links. How many of you all are in the Boulé? Raise your hands. I'm doing that because Andrew was the most relatable person to them per their own commentary. And Andrew's the only one who was in the Boulé. We are not even in the Boulé. So we get labeled for stuff that we're not even in. But
well, I didn't hear Charlamagne say that.
No, he didn't. He said Jack and Jill of y'all.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to say to set the record straight, because I hear what Charlamagne is saying, and I think a lot of comments echoed that. My personal background aside, I want to say that as a journalist, before I bring up anything on this show, I want our viewers to know I have indeed done my due diligence. So I didn't just watch the clip. How I prepared for that segment, I didn't pay for Patreon, but I did read the transcript of what happened. I even understood the word in question that was tricky, was allude.
I did my due diligence. I didn't pay for the Patreon. I read the manuscript. The manuscript only tells so much of the details. It only tells so much of the details, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're able to read the manuscript, right? If you read the manuscript, it's not going to tell you the emotions. It's not going to tell you exactly who was yelling, were they yelling, what was the disposition, how the fuck everything was being delivered. What was the environment? What was the tone of the talking points? What was the tone between it? Because the entire time, while I do agree with Macaroni Tony in regards to the fact that Marc Lamont did try to, he really did try to bring the conversation back. He really did try to calm down the entire situation. However, the way that he did it in his delivery in doing that, that's what caused the shit to continue to keep going. That's why nothing happened. If you play that video, if you go back to that video, because I ain't gonna do it here because they be trying to strike shit and all that, because you know Joe Budden be on some more shit. But if you go back to that video and watch it, you can see the entire situation. They were going back and forth. Flip was saying shit in regards to what Marc Lamont Hill does, you know, outside of, you know, doing his job with the Joe Budden podcast. I'm believing that's what he was referring to, and a lot of other different shit that he named. And then overall, he said, "Look, but some of the shit you be doing is sucker shit." Now, you saying somebody doing sucker shit, last time I checked, that's not calling somebody a sucker. They just saying you're doing sucker shit. I'm not calling you a sucker, but what you're doing is sucker shit. So that triggered Marc Lamont Hill. During that conversation, he didn't say, "Hey, yo, man, hey, look, I really don't appreciate you calling me a sucker, man. You know, I really don't, you know what I'm saying? I take offense to that. So, like, hey, can you do me a favor? Don't call me a sucker." He didn't do it like that. Marc Lamont Hill was literally, "Hey, don't call me no sucker. Hey, don't call me no sucker. Don't call me no sucker." You feel me? So already that's a lot of hostility. That's a lot of air in your chest, big dog. So therefore, the person that's receiving that on the other end, you're gonna look at it, okay, so if I call you, I ain't calling you no sucker. I'm saying you doing sucker shit, but why you got your chest so puffed out as if you about to up something? What's good with it? You feel me? That's how I'm going to, call me crazy. Tell me if I'm tripping. If I'm tripping in regards to that, the difference between the two. Tell me if I'm tripping. Like, bro, you got a lot of air in your chest. What's up with you? And then once he realized, look, bro, listen, bro, you let's just calm it down. Let's just calm it down. But you know what I'm saying? Don't call me no sucker though. And the shit continued to keep raveling. So how the fuck is Flip wrong?
I understood that the conversation was about payment discrepancy. I spoke to Mark before I did this segment. I looked at literacy rates before I did this segment. I watched a few clips, or not clips, different segments from Joe Budden's podcast before I did this segment. And I will say, I stand by what I said. My perspectives and opinions don't sway in the winds of public opinion. Sometimes the cheese will stand alone. I do think there is very much a toxic landscape that is fueled by a lot of podcast bros. But I definitely agree with you, Charlamagne. Before you have an interview with anybody, before you sit down and speak on something, I would advise anyone to be well informed, whether it's politics, sports, anything like that. And so I don't think that the issue was that the collective was not well informed. I don't think that was my perspective. I think the issue that a lot of people felt is they felt attacked. And so I want to be clear that I wasn't saying who was an intellectual and who was not. My perspective was there is an anti-intellectual movement ravaging the Black community. I also want to be clear that I was not saying that no one should talk to Flip or Joe Budden. Certainly somebody should. Someone should be reaching out to them. That's not my ministry. Things I care about are the incarcerated and puppies. Most importantly, pit bulls. I don't like that tens of thousands of them get euthanized every month. It breaks my heart. I think about the incarcerated all the time. I don't want our Black men and women in prison thinking they're forgotten about. I think it's a bit arrogant of me to say, "Hey,
hold on, bro. Listen, hold up. I need them. Listen. Let's do this right now. Let's do this here on the Courtnee Edgar Show on YouTube at 9:22 p.m. October 25th, 2025. On a Saturday night. We need to be a little bit more clear in regards to the type of Black men that are in the prisons. Because some of them niggas deserve to be in there. That's what we not about to do. I hope I want to make sure maybe you know, being able to read between the lines, that's what she's referring to. That's what I'm hoping she's referring to. But if you're talking about black people that deserve to be in there, you know, them real demons that deserve to be in there, yeah, we ain't talking about them. Leave them niggas in there. But the ones that are wrongfully accused, that do not deserve to be in there, the ones who get football numbers for some shit that they didn't do, for the ones who have little misdemeanor situations and they getting football numbers put on them, yeah, I understand that. But the ones that continue to keep fucking up and the ones that are degenerates to this society, who aren't contributing members to the society at all, who ain't doing nothing but harming everybody, keep them niggas in jail. Please do. I don't give a damn if they black. Keep them in there. We don't need them on the streets. Please understand that. So I hope that's what she means. I hope that's what she means, because she talking about all black. Man, listen, black people on a monolith. Understand that and that means good and or bad. So black people on a monolith, because there are a bunch of shitty ass black people out here, but there are a lot of great black people out here too. Just like there are a bunch of shitty white people, and there are a bunch of great white people too, and all other races too. So. So I need her to be clear on that.
Bakari, Andrew, y'all should be talking to the incarcerated. That's not their ministry. But if Angela feels like, no, those are the people or you, Charlamagne, if you feel like, no, those are the very people I want to be speaking to, then by all means, go do that. I'm saying it's hard to fill a cup that's already full. So if I'm telling you something and you're insulting me for my intelligence, I don't need to be where fools gather. So I stand on what I said. I'm not disrespecting any of them, but I just want to be clear. Our viewers know I never come on this podcast ever without being very well informed and researched and fact checked. And a fact check is not a 30-second Google search before I come on this show. It takes a lot of work to prepare for anything I introduce. And I would hope that we all do that.
Well, Tiff, it's interesting. You say you like talking to the incarcerated. Like, who do you think the incarcerated are listening to? Like, the incarcerated are listening to things like the Joe Budden podcast. Like, they're listening to, you know, places like the Breakfast Club. Like, that's who they're actually tuning into. I know, because I go speak at the jails. I was at Rikers Island a couple of weeks ago with Shaka Sinclair. You know, I know when, you know, these brothers from Rikers Island are writing into the Breakfast Club and telling me, like, you know, what they like to listen to, what they like to read. So if you are trying to reach the incarcerated, you got to go where the incarcerated is at. Like,
I go directly into the prisons as well through a teaching program and also through a journalism program that I've talked about here. Prison journalism is a project that I support. So I'm not necessarily trying to talk to Joe Budden to talk to the incarcerated. I'm trying to talk directly to the incarcerated. I don't want to air out anybody's business, but I got people in my immediate family who are the incarcerated, which is another thing. I think it's important for people to understand. I am not. I don't think that intellect has anything to do with degrees, pedigree, how much money you make. Because I saw a lot of they all make more money than you. I know a lot of rich fools, and I know a lot of degreed idiots. I've sat across from tables of CEOs who I did not find terribly intelligent. I went to school with a lot of debutantes that I don't find terribly intelligent. It's not a diss to them, but I wouldn't necessarily put them in that category either. I think it's important. I just want people to know. I don't come from, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. In my family right now, I'm not of that world. And I don't think, you know, what we call like elitism, I don't necessarily think being of that world is a bad thing. I also don't believe in putting people down because you did grow up privileged. Or because you did have parents who had multiple degrees or money. Like, none of these things makes you a bad person. Right. To me, what I find frustrating is when you are not receptive or curious. I don't need to talk to people wherever you are, whatever your background is. If you're not receptive or curious, then you are likely not my audience and I'm likely not yours. I am curious about things. I can learn from anybody, but I don't necessarily respect everybody's opinion. And I don't think all the people say I respect everybody's opinion. Use a lie. I don't believe that. There are people there. Go ahead.
Can you be intellectually curious without respecting everybody's opinion?
Yes. You looking at somebody who's intellectually curious without respecting everybody's opinion.
Because I consider myself intellectually curious, so I'm the type of person that I'm gonna hear you out. You know, I may not want to hear you again, but I'm gonna at least take the opportunity to listen to you at least one time.
And my thing is, again, so with her, she said, "Oh, I go into the prisons." Okay, that's cool, but there's 3 different ways to skin a cat. You can go in there personally, yeah, through whatever avenues and programs that you have in order to reach the members in the prison. But then there are also different ways, such as the Joe Budden podcast, who guys write for Joe Budden to talk about certain topics. So what are we talking about here, dog? What are we talking about? I hate these so-called, man. I get tired. I get tired of this. I get tired of these type of people, man. In the same token, you're talking about, well, I don't think everybody's intellectual. I don't like to put people down. I don't look at myself as an elitism, all this elitism and shit, and all these isms, bro. You're doing the exact same thing. You're doing the exact same thing. Literally, you're doing the exact same fucking thing. You have this display about yourself that makes you believe that you're better than everybody. And no, for those of you, where you just project it. Nigga, I don't project on shit. I just call it for what I see. It ain't got shit to do with my life and what I got going on. I can give 2 fucks about her. I don't even know who the fuck she is, to be honest with you. So I want to make sure that's clear. I don't know who the fuck she is. Every time I've seen her talk, she got on my nerves. 100%.
No, there's a gentleman by the name of Corey. He is a lovely person. He happens to be schizophrenic and homeless, and he's in the front of my building, and he has an opinion on everything.
Okay.
And I sit there and chat with Corey sometimes just because he's so nice and so sweet, and I give him bread because he likes to feed the birds. I don't respect Corey's opinion on anything. He got opinion on the financial systems and the banks and all the things that he wants to tell me about. I'm nice to him. I'm kind to him. I give him bread. I would be lying to you to say I respect Corey's opinion. When I have interviewed,
you had to speak to him. You had to speak to him at least one time to understand that.
Yes, I can speak to anybody. Yeah. I'm never saying I don't speak to anybody. But once I ascertain, you are not a curious person. Once you are saying things to me like you using tricky words, and this isn't just a center flip in that conversation, because I'm really trying to broaden this out into anybody who's incurious. Once you are clear to me that you are not curious about what I have to say, when I would interview different like men on the street interviews during the Obama race, and people would say the most ignorant things to me. Or when you would hear lazy reporters go out to Trump rallies and they would say, well, Obama gave Iran millions of dollars. He's in cahoots with Iran and he's a Muslim. I don't respect your opinion anymore. Now you sound like a fool. And I'm giving you reason right there in real time, challenging you. But I can't fill a cup that's already full. So now, no, I don't respect your opinion. And Bakari said this is South Carolina saying, but I think all Black folks say this. If I'm arguing with a fool from a distance, you can't tell the difference. I don't need to be where fools gather. If somebody else feels called to say, no, it is my ministry to go inform, to go educate this particular group of people, I would never shit on that. That's just not even my way. I'm like, live and let live, go do it. That's just not what I choose to do.
I understand. I guess the issue comes, and I can't believe I'm on here defending the Joe Budden podcast, right? but I guess the issue is, I don't think fools go together at the Joe Budden podcast. I don't think anybody in that room.
I didn't say that, for the record.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in that room is a fool.
Man, listen, bro, we can read between the lines. Yeah, you didn't say it right out the gate. We understand that, but we know what you're alluding to. You said it all. You said it not verbatim. You didn't say it straight out of your mouth. But in regards to the Joe Budden podcast, that's what you were referring to. Let's cut the bullshit. Stop trying to walk on eggshells. Stop the politicking. Nigga, stand on your shit. Stand on what you say. Stand on it. Die on that hill. Do it. Don't try to come in here politicking. Well, I didn't say it. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. We know what you're alluding to. Because if you weren't alluding to it, if that podcast in itself wasn't alluding to what they were doing on Joe Budden podcast after Marc Lamont Hill and Flip, after that shit popped off, Joe Budden wouldn't have responded. He wouldn't have said shit. He would have kept on pushing with it. So let's cut the bullshit. Stop trying to politic and trying to make sure that you trying to mince words. And man, listen, bro, just had a conversation, stand on the shit that you stand on. Like, yup, I said that, and you, because what's her name? Angela Rye was saying, hey, he need to come on home type shit, and y'all still ain't trying to hide this nigga yet. Did y'all call him up? Did y'all shoot him an email say, hey, we need you to come over here? Did y'all do that? Have y'all tried to hire Marc Lamont Hill yet? Have y'all reached out to him and said, look, we need you on our podcast? Have you? That's my ultimate question. That's what I want to know. Or how about this? Why don't you call Marc Lamont Hill on just like you did Charlamagne Tha God, and y'all can have that conversation, and y'all can have that, you can talk to him. How about that? Or you can reach out to Joe Budden too. Have him on your podcast, and you can have that conversation about what was going on. Because you're talking about, because yeah, what you did say earlier about intellectualism, yeah, you did say that in the last one, but that was still in reference to that Joe Budden podcast. But I digress.
And I also feel like, you know, we should be happy that people like Marc Lamont Hill want to be on big black platforms. I think that's the biggest problem I have right now is that, you know, we tend to knock, you know, certain platforms when what we should be doing is infiltrating those platforms. Like, you know, I know everybody likes to, you know, go at Stephen A. Smith. I want to see more black elected officials, more black politicians, you know, more black spiritual leaders, more black activists, more black people with something to say about black issues go on platforms like Stephen A. Smith. Because all the white elected officials are taking advantage of it.
Do you know why they're taking advantage of it? Because they're laughing at a fool. That when people like, because I think that's such an important point. White politicians are going on there because they are elevating him to a position, and they only do this specifically in the black community. They are elevating him into a position that he did not earn. He is an expert in sports. And so you will have white people all the time pluck an entertainer. Right. Well, he whatever he expert in is not politics, is not policy.
But
and if you don't pluck an entertainer,
he has an audience.
An audience does not equate to intellect or intelligence.
You guys, if
I'm
we
not
can,
Look, she still talk about intellect or intelligence. You keep alluding to nigga. Do you not understand the word, bruh? Your intellect or intelligence ain't got shit to do with nothing. Let's keep it a buck. What people can you influence? Do you have an influence? Do you have an influence of people? Are you moving people? Can you transform people from one thing to another? Can you do that? Can you move the masses? Are you able to do that? When you speak, do people stop and listen to you? That's what you're not understanding. Y'all get so caught up in this intellect. Oh, I can't talk to a person that's intellectual. That's not intellectual because you're not on my level, because we can't have a real deep conversation. Nobody ain't trying to have a fucking deep conversation with you. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Because you're trying to be so intellectual, guess what? You then come out very boring. You come out very elitist. Nobody wants to listen to you because you think that you're better than them. Whether you believe it or not, you come off as you're better than them. And again, this is not projection. I'm just telling you what it is. And so when you come onto these podcasts, you try to talk all intellectual instead of, shout out to Anton Daniels, putting the medicine inside the candy, you know, bringing it down and talking to people on their level while adding entertainment on top of it. Then more people ears are gonna be more inclined to listen to you. But you come in here with this oh, I'm better than you, and this is not intellectual. I'm gonna let the fools be with the fools. This is why you won't have an influx of people that ain't gonna follow you. This is why you won't have an influx of people that's gonna follow you. Stephen A. Yes, Stephen A. built his rep and everything about him from sports, talking sports. But now he's dabbling, and of course, he's doing a little bit his homework. He's still gonna have to do a little bit more of his homework to talk about politics, because we know that's what he's moving towards. He's transitioning into that. So now he's starting to dip his toe in the water. Now he's starting to get into more politics, because that's what's going to have to happen. Because now that he has a plethora of people that follow him, that watch him, that want to hear what Stephen A. got to say, because he got a whole different demographic of people that he can bring over here to this side, and they can have a conversation about politics rather than sports. And then not only that, those people, now he's tapping into a different type of audience who may have been talking about politics a lot of times, but now he's bringing that over to the sports arena, and now you're bringing all that together, creating this huge, massive influence of people. But y'all worried about intellect. Cool, yeah, I agree. More people need to read. More people need to do their research. I understand that 110%. I do. Please don't get me twisted on that. I 110% understand that. But when you a podcaster, when you're out here, you on podcasts, you on YouTube and all this extra shit. Listen, bro, I get it. You know, this whole idea of if I could only reach one, man, if I could reach one, I did my job. Nah, fuck that. We trying to reach the masses, bro. We want to influence the masses on a positive way to move them in the right direction, so that way we can better ourselves in life. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Y'all talking about all this black shit. What about the black people? But then look, you got a black woman out here putting down black men. What the fuck are we doing? What are you talking about? Shit's wild to me.
I'm not
I want to
saying
hear
it
what you
does.
have to say about defending Stephen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying these black people who have these large audiences, instead of sitting on the sidelines complaining about them having a large audience and who didn't earn what, how about go on that platform and deliver some of that truth or some of that intellect that you have to his audience? Like, even if you sit around and you talk about, you saying about the guy, the person that sits outside of your stoop and they have a lot of misinformation, or you talk about the people that were saying the things about Obama. Those people will continue to have misinformation if somebody doesn't go to them and inform them.
But
So
this is the point that you missed. I'm sorry. Let me just respond, please. This is the point that maybe you missed. I'm saying, when I'm trying to inform you, when I'm saying, no, that is actually not true about Obama, and somebody saying, yes, it is, because, okay, you are not curious at that point. You are not receptive. Right. I can't feel your bucket is full. You don't want to hear what I have to say. Number two, I'm not complaining about anyone having a large audience. I'm complaining about who his audience is. He has a large audience of mostly conservative white folks, and they are treating him. This is no diss to Stephen. Do you have data to back
that up, Tiffany? Do you have statistics that say Stephen A. Smith's audience is majority conservative white folks?
I do. Nielsen ratings, or his ESPN show, Nielsen ratings qualifies that.
Well, no, that's ESPN. I'm talking about his podcast, because most of the time when he's spewing political takes,
I don't know his podcast. I just know he.
But yeah, she do her fucking research. She's a fucking clown, man. Let me get off of here. She's a fucking clown. She's a fucking clown. She's a fucking clown, bro. Let me get off of here.